Hi.
We're live here on stage.
All right.
Food Fanatics chef from Dallas, Art Ledda, is going to talk a little bit about food in the Philippines,
That
right?
is right. That
and
is
the
right,
cool
sir.
stuff, and you brought a friend with you today?
I did. This is my best friend and my first chef ever, Chef Nathan Sears, the executive chef for the Witt Hotel.
Fantastic. Thank you, chef, for being here. We appreciate it. Big round of applause for both chefs. I think you guys are going to have a little fun up here, right?
Just a little bit.
All right,
Just a
cool.
tad.
Take it away, gentlemen.
Well, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Chef Art Ledda out of Dallas. I just want to say thank you very much for everyone being here today and enjoying such a momentous occasion for US Foods, myself, and for all of you. So, like my good friend said, we are talking about Filipino food. And Filipino food is actually on the rise now. You're seeing it more and more in New York, California, here in Chicago as well. One of my favorite Filipino restaurants is Isla de Pilipinas. That's on the north side. Amazing, amazing food. But Filipino food is very comfort-like food. It's very homely. It's something that you want to have after a long day, and it's very simple, simple cooking. A dish that I love, it's very near and dear to my heart. What we're gonna do is called sisig. Normally, it's made out of pig's head, but today, we're not using pig's head, we're using beef cheeks. And normally, it is cooked long and slow. You take the pig's head, shred it all, and you fry it, and you eat it while you're drinking beers with your best friends or your family. So Nate, Chef Nate.
I'm gonna drink the beer.
You can drink a beer.
Okay.
Because you can. So Chef Nate, as you and I have talked many times at night about food in general, we've talked about Filipino food and how it's grown in our culture or in the mainstream society. What is your thoughts? I'm gonna get started right now on the dish real quick. So I'm gonna saute first some garlic, some shallots, and then the braised beef cheeks, which I braised for 3 hours yesterday, and then cut up into bite-sized pieces. So Nate, what do you think about Filipino food?
As Art said, we've talked a lot about Filipino food just in general and where it can fit in the culinary landscape. I think one of the things is one of the main things we talk about is like the Korean food, Japanese foods, and some of the Chinese foods take off because they have very dynamic flavor profiles. You get a lot of the chilies in there, they're very diverse. It's easier for people to catch on to a singular flavor. Banchans are really catching on. Sushi really caught on. Szechuan cooking is really catching on. So as that happens, Filipino is a little more base. So it's almost like if you think about the fine dining food in France versus the rustic countryside stuff. So really you see a lot of simple cooking as Art's demonstrating. It's shallots, garlic, braised beef cheeks, and there's just a couple other little ingredients. So you do get some fish sauce, you get some soy flavor in there, you get some other things. But again, it's all a lot of very classic technique that everybody's used to. It's just building flavors a little differently.
Correct.
But I think ultimately too, I don't know if this is true, I don't run a labor board, but I think the Filipino influence in restaurants has really blossomed in the last couple of years. So I think we always do staff meals in restaurants and things like that as well. So when the cooks get their turn to cook their meal, of course they're cooking something that feels comforting and close to them. And you end up getting things like sisig and lumpia and adobo. And then when the chefs eat it, they realize that all these flavors are layered really nice. And the adobo is really plain and simple. It's like pork shoulder, fish sauce, soy sauce,
vinegar, some garlic cloves, peppercorn, and bay leaves. Done.
And instead of a tortilla, you get rice with it. And you got to eat with your hands, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
In the Filipino culture, it's huge, and I still do it to this day, even at my mom's house.
Yeah.
Once in a while at the restaurants, I'll eat with my hands.
A lot of time at restaurants.
He's seen me. We had a dinner we did together for the Star Wars.
Yep.
And so I'm in the back of the house. We're cooking. They're all cooking. I'm cooking.
Another Filipino chef was there.
Another Filipino chef was there, Lawrence. And I started eating with my hands. And a lot of them were like, Art, what are you doing? Well, in my culture, we eat with my hands. So throughout the whole night, I was eating duck wings, garlic fried rice, and some kimchi, I believe.
Something, yeah. Oh, the XO sauce.
XO sauce, exactly. So with now the sisig that I have, I sauteed some garlic, sauteed shallots. I added the beef cheeks.
Anybody wants to come up and smell this, feel free.
Who wants to smell this? Anyone want to come up and smell it? Boom, girl, come on up.
The rock's not cooking, but we got smells.
I'm close enough.
What?
Let you go. What? Can you smell that? Smell that goodness? How good does it smell? Real good? That's what I'm talking about. So now I'm going to add some yuzu, but you know what normally in the yuzu juice is a very
calamansi?
Calamansi, exactly. Normally in the Philippines we use calamansi. It's a cross between a lemon and an orange. It's got a very sweet but sour note to it. Yuzu's got the same kind of flavor profile, but not because calamansi is not readily available here in the US. So I'm gonna add a little bit of the yuzu just to get that tartness in there. I added some Thai chili bird peppers as well to get a little bit of heat.
And that's some of the problems with Filipino food right now as well. It's like sometimes there's very specific ingredients, and they are hard to get in the United States. One of the things that Art turned me on to is crab fat. It's not really technically fat. It's almost like in Italy they do neonata, where it's baby sardines that they pack with salt and dried chilies. But what they do with this, they do it with crabs, a little bit of breadcrumb, and they press the baby crabs. So really not the most humane thing, but really delicious. We actually do, and I think the thing is when you start thinking about these ingredients, again, it's like pure and simple. The crab fat just tastes like crab. They don't add, it's like, I don't want to sound weird, but they don't add all this Asian stuff into it. It's really the pure essence of the crab. So it's nice for me because I can take it and we just put an ingredient on the menu, and talking about some fusion we're talking about today, we take a pork belly, we rub it down with crab fat and then herbs de Provence, which is dried rosemary and lavender primarily. And then we take that, I just went, okay. So then we slow cook the belly and we deep fry it into Rion. So we're taking a little bit of the French influence and pulling in some French influence, and we serve with Old Bay and achiote and all kinds of other stuff. So it's nice when all these ingredients can really kind of interplay, and it really highlights that fusion and joining cuisines together, because everything is about the essence, and Filipino food is really one of those ones that shines more than anything else. Again, talking about some of the other cuisines, whether we take banchan, it's like kimchi, whatever you put it with is always going to taste like kimchi. So when you can take some of these things like a calamansi, that's just a nice different kind of citrus, you get all kinds of good stuff. It's just another way to utilize the ingredients to give you flavors instead of trying to fit an ingredient or an idea from a different culture into yours. So you can kind of build it a little differently.
Sure. I mean, and we've had so many dishes together with Filipino dishes. There's levels of flavors. There's a lot of sweet, there's a lot of sour, there's a lot of funk from like fish sauce, but they're well balanced because of the fact that in the Philippines, we don't really have a lot of refrigeration, being a third world country. So a lot of our food is freshly made for that day. A lot of it's done pickling. There's a lot of preservation, like the adobo, a lot of vinegar is being used because you're preserving that pork, and it can actually last and get better as it sits 2 days down the road over some garlic fried rice, and you just got an amazing breakfast, lunch, or dinner meal right there. So we've cooked the sisig, the beef cheek sisig, so we're gonna make a nice little salad to it, kind of contrast that flavor, that savory, that heat, that sour that the yuzu brought in. So we shredded some lettuce. We added a little bit of fish sauce to it. Can I get some of that fish sauce, my friend? Boom. So fish sauce is amazing. It adds such a good umami and saltiness flavor to a dish. It may not smell the best, but man, it is so good. You could put it on, I don't know.
Everything.
Everything, yeah. So we're gonna add a little bit of it here. And then we're just gonna toss it lightly with some fresh herbs, because one of the first things I learned as a chef or cook under Nathan was he has a proficient love for herbs. And when he creates many of his dishes at the Wit Hotel, the herbs add another flavor profile, another level of freshness, lightness to that dish. So we're gonna add some fresh chives.
And that's one of the things I talk a lot about with my cooks. A dish can be very balanced as far as fat and acid and everything else, but you also wanna make sure you get like rich flavors, the nice base ground flavors, umami. That's where fish sauce, a lot of the meatiness can come in. You use a lot of those things to give you really kind of like that comforting, deep, like soul satisfying flavor. But then the nice thing with the herbs, it really brings a nice freshness. So with that balance of something deep and rich, it's almost like a burger. Like you have this big meaty thing, but if all you do is put cheese on it, it's not very balanced. Even if you put some pickles on it, it's not balanced, in my opinion. I mean, I eat them like crazy that way. But sometimes if you add herbs or you add like a fresh flavor to it, like a tomato, again, it just highlights that even more, and it gives you not just that the fat and the acid balance and the salt level and everything else, it gives you really grounded flavors as well as really nice, bright, fresh flavors.
Awesome.
So those are definitely things to think about.
Thank you, Chef. All right, so we're ready to plate up. So I'm gonna lay down the salad. I actually added some fresh parsley as well. So we're gonna add the salad right on the center of the dish. And then we're gonna add some of the sisig. So one of the things that Chef Nathan has taught me is about pickling, fermenting. So right here, we've pickled some grapes and we've pickled some gooseberries for you as well.
I think that's one of the nice things too. When you start understanding technique and just the approach to food, you can really start pulling in stuff. I don't know how many grapes are in the Philippines or gooseberries, but they're definitely a nice Midwest thing. But when you add them in, you're basically replacing other flavor components you would use within Filipino flavors, but you're bringing in some more sweet, some more acidity. So you're kind of balancing it the same way, just with more local ingredients.
Exactly. So I'm gonna add some crushed chicharron for this additional crunch and texture and some saltiness. And then one of the things that Nate and I have fell in love with as far as components or ingredients with is pork floss. So pork floss is a Chinese ingredient. It is basically like pork cotton candy. It melts in your mouth. It is so flavorful, so tasty. I think a few weeks ago we did an event for you and he used it on one of your dishes, a tomato dish, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Do you remember? He does it.
Yeah, I remember picking it up. I forgot what the dish was.
So we're gonna add some pork floss to that. So you got the pork, you've got the crunch, and then we're gonna add a little bit of the pickled red grapes for acidity and sweetness. And then some of the pickled gooseberries as well for crunch texture. And there you go. I'm gonna add some more fresh herbs there too to kind of give some more color to the dish. And there you go. That's a simple dish made that you can have drinking with your best friend, family members, or your audiences right in front of you. So I hope you guys do go out there and try Filipino food. It's definitely a cuisine that you should definitely try because of the fact there's a different flavor profiles, different textures. It comes from the heart and soul, quite honestly. My culture is amazing. And a fun fact, that the Philippines is made out of how many islands? Do you remember?
Over 1,000.
No, more. 7,000 islands.
Well, that's over 1,000.
It's over. Well, all right, yeah, whatever. Anyways, I brought you here today.
It's at least 50.
There you go. So I just want to say thank you for your time, everyone. I do appreciate you guys sitting here, learning a little bit about Filipino food, talking to my good friend Nathan Sears here. Please try out some of the Filipino restaurants we have here in Chicago, like Isla de Filipinas.
What town is that in?
Isla?
Yeah.
It's on Foster, I believe?
How do you spell it?
Isla is ISLD. Great, here we go.
Forget it, Art.
I can cook, I can't
You're
spell.
not even drinking.
I'm done.
Forget it, Art.
Mark, I'm done with this.
What do we
thank
have
you.
here? What do we have here?
So here we go. We
How
got the
was
beef
it, by the
cheese
way?
stick.
Yeah, all right, Art.
Well, thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed the dish.
Amazing.
Please, anyone, if you have to try it, please come to the interactive kitchen. If
There's
you haven't
more?
before. There's more.
Awesome.
It's a lot more.
And thank you for being here too, Chef
Thank you.
Nathan. How about a big
Always
round
fun.
of applause for Chef Nathan Sears, who taught Art everything he knows. How about a big hug, man? Big hug.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Hey, all right.